Hello again, I'm Fox 26 meteorologist Ramisha Shade. We can celebrate we've made it to another Friday. We made it through another busy work week. And of course, we've got to get you that look at the tropics. We've got some action out there. In fact, a little bit more than yesterday. We still are tracking Roslyn, which is close to being a hurricane now out in the eastern Pacific, but we also have another system in the Atlantic trying to get going. It's still pretty weak and disorganized, but that is where we will start. So overall, it's been pretty quiet all week long for the Atlantic basin. No tropical cyclones to tell you about, nothing new developed, but today we did have a little area in the central to eastern Atlantic develop. It's this area right here, very disorganized area of showers and storms here, so it doesn't look like much now. However, as we go in time over the next 2 to 5 days, there is a very low risk that this area of showers and storms could start to get a little bit more organized as it tracks to the west-northwest, and it could start to develop some tropical characteristics. So the chances for that happening on the low side, but it's not zero, so that means we're telling you about it. About a 10% shot for tropical cyclone formation over the next 48 hours, and about a 20% chance that this could possibly become a tropical depression or a tropical storm or even a hurricane over the next 5 days. So we will watch it closely. As I mentioned, not much going on now, and it is still well to the east of the U.S., even well east of Bermuda. In fact, still over 1,000 miles away from Bermuda. So we've got some time to watch this one, but I did just want to give you a heads up that we do have a little something cooking in the Atlantic, and we will be watching that closely. All right, let's hop over to the eastern Pacific, and this is where we have a strengthening tropical system. Of course, this just started out as a little disorganized area of showers and storms as well, but now it is Tropical Storm Roslyn, and it is quickly on the path to become a hurricane. Winds are getting stronger. It is expected to become a hurricane most likely by this evening or tonight, and it will bring a pretty big flooding and landslide threat to parts of Mexico. So let's track this one for you. Here it is. Currently, winds are now up to 70 miles per hour as of the latest 4 p.m. advisory. Movement to the west-northwest at 7 miles per hour for now, but notice over the weekend and into early next week, it's going to start to shift more to the north and then eventually to the north and east. That will come into play with our forecast locally, so stay tuned for that. But right now, I just want to continue telling you about what's going on with this system. Currently, we've got pressure that continues to fall down to about 992 millibars. So usually when the pressure falls, that means the storm is getting stronger. So usually there's a correlation between that pressure falling and the wind speeds increasing, and that's what we're seeing with Roslyn right now. So a strong tropical storm right now, borderline hurricane. I think by the next advisory, we will likely have a hurricane on our hands in the eastern Pacific. This is very close to the west central Mexican coast. It is expected to strengthen to a 100-mile-per-hour hurricane by 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Then as we go into Saturday night and early Sunday morning, it's still expected to have winds, maximum sustained winds, near 105 miles per hour. As we go into Sunday afternoon, that is when it will likely be in the process of making landfall. It will start to rapidly weaken as it moves over the rugged terrain of Mexico. But before that landfall, we're talking about a Category 2 hurricane bashing the south and west central Mexican coast. So certainly not what you want to be dealing with for the weekend into early next week, but folks in Mexico, especially near Puerto Vallarta, Mazatlan, definitely want to be dealing with the potential for several inches of rain, maybe some landslides, flash flooding, and also that threat for that dangerous storm surge, and also some potentially damaging wind gusts with winds over 100 miles per hour possible. As we go into early next week, Monday, that's when it starts to weaken. It's likely just a remnant low by then, but it's still going to have a lot of moisture associated with it, and some of that moisture will try to creep our way because the movement will be off to the north and east. So here is what you need to know about Tropical Storm Roslyn. Roslyn should reach the west central coast of southern Mexico early Sunday, most likely. As a Category 2 hurricane, we're talking about winds near 100 miles per hour, possibly a little over 100 miles per hour. So that is damaging wind, power outages, trees knocked down, maybe some structural damage, so certainly not good news for folks in Mexico. Could bring up to 8 inches of rain for parts of Mexico as well, along with that dangerous storm surge and those strong, potentially damaging wind gusts. Also, we're worried about that flash flood and landslide threat as it moves over that rugged Mexican terrain, and that is probably what is going to end up being the biggest issue and cause the most damage. So our thoughts are with those folks in Mexico. Hopefully things won't get too bad. We will only have some indirect impacts from that moisture from whatever is left of Roslyn early next week will try to head our way and maybe bump up our rain chances just a little bit. But we are moving on down this list for names for eastern Pacific storms. Of course, we have Roslyn out there now, but if we get any more storms, the next one would be Seymour. Then we would have Tina, Virgil, and a Winifred. So hopefully we don't get that far, but we are getting closer and closer to wrapping up this hurricane season, but we still can't rule it out. Of course, if that little system in the Atlantic tries to get stronger and gain some tropical characteristics, that next name on the list would be Lisa, and then we would have Martin and Nicole. So overall, we've got Roslyn, of course, to watch closely as it is expected to make landfall in Mexico over the weekend. And then we've got that little tropical wave out in the central to eastern Atlantic. We're hoping it stays weak and it doesn't intensify. But of course, if that changes, you will be the first to know. All right, our tropical climatology will show you that we are getting closer and closer to saying bye-bye to this hurricane season. Not just yet, though. Of course, hurricane season officially does not end until November 30th, and we are into late October now, and we, of course, passed that peak of hurricane season, which was right around September 10th. So we're just going to keep chugging and churning along, and hopefully we won't have any of these systems giving us any direct impacts. As I mentioned, Roslyn may bring a little bit of moisture our way, which could translate into some higher rain chances for Monday and Tuesday. But other than that, I don't expect any major impacts from any of those systems. Of course, if you want to find out more, make sure you have the Fox 26 weather app downloaded on your phone or your tablet. Head to the App Store, grab that, download that if you haven't already. Lots of useful, helpful information, lots of cool stuff on there too. And you can find out more about the tropics and more about what's coming locally. Of course, we've got a cold front headed our way. We've got some better chances for rain. We've got more temperature flip-flops, temperature swings. So you can check out all of that, your latest forecast from your Gulf Coast Weather Authority by downloading that Fox 26 weather app. Also, don't forget to say hello to me, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find me on all of those platforms, at Ramisha Shade TV for Twitter, at Ramisha Shade Weather for Facebook, and at Ramisha Shade for Instagram. Have a great evening, enjoy your weekend, and be safe out there.